Hey, Will.
What's up, Ron? How you doing, man?
Doing good. How you doing? Been Hey, by the way, it's been pretty cool following your stuff on LinkedIn. The stories sort of reminding me of Justin and I when we got kicked. I mean, we'll talk about that kind of on the call, but especially the CPK story that you posted resonated. Um, the restaurant trade show resonated. And then you had one, I think, that was telling like walking away from that enterprise 250K
I put it,
opportunity.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we just had one. It's funny. I can't share that on the call because it's under confidentiality. But we had one with Sweet Green that hit our desk, and you're like, "Damn, it'd be badass to have that logo." And you're like, "Well, shit, the amount of work it's going to take to do this is just doesn't make sense." I don't know, man. I was reading a bunch of your stuff that we're connected now, and it just like ton of it was just like, man, it's like the same situation that we were through.
Well, good. It's nice to find people that resonates with. There's not a lot of companies that walk away from those opportunities, and I used to put that on our blog, but nobody read our blog. It was like going into the void. But maybe people read some stuff now. I didn't really start using LinkedIn until a few months ago, but I thought it might. I like to write, so it's
Yeah.
just a place to um, fill that itch. But well, thanks for taking the time to do this. We actually I just got off a call with John
Cool.
and Stephanie and a customer of ours, Bohemian Bull. Like we just finished a few minutes ago. So
Nice. Yeah. What's your impression of John? He's been with us for, about 6 months now.
I like him a lot. I like his
Okay.
style a whole lot, and I think so far everything I've seen has just been I'm just impressed. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Stephanie, it's funny. Stephanie reported to him at his former role or former company. And so we had an opening on our team. He goes, "Man, I got this amazing person. Let's see if we can bring her over. She's at Amazon right now." And we did. And man, when you hire somebody that just out of the gates just has this great level of understanding, professionalism, just gets it. She falls in that category. So happy I had an opportunity to kind of meet her and John, of course.
They both do. Impressive hires, man. I mean, that's such a big part of this stuff is getting it's just so hard to get the right people in place. And I mean, we don't know how to do it. All five of us we were from a previous company. We all knew each other. So I've always been terrified of trying to bring somebody in to represent our brand. And it's we've been lucky to not have to, but I think about doing it, and it's hard because it's a big investment of time and energy and money, and you have somebody speaking for what your passion and your baby, and you want them to represent the company well and understand what you're trying to do short term, long term, not have myopic short term like goals where they cut corners so they can get paid. I mean, there's just so much that goes into that. So I mean, I can tell you've nailed it. Y'all nailed it with both those two. So hats off.
Thanks, man. So how, I want to take some time to get to know you and get to know Schedulefly and all that, but I also want to be respectful of your process here in terms of what this looks like. So we'd love to hear a little bit how you'd like to proceed.
We're going to proceed right now. We're going to just,
Cool.
we'll do a quick intro. I'll cut this first part out, and we're just, man, I just want you to tell me the story of Kickfin. And I mean, obviously I went on your site and I read about y'all, but I like to keep things kind of open-ended and just conversational. And I just want to have hear your story, and let's just talk. You can ask about us, whatever you want. There's no, particular form or agenda for these podcasts.
Right.
I mean, God, we've been doing it for years and years now. And I just looked the other day, I really had no clue, but we've had over 500,000 downloads, which I understand is like pretty good. But there's a good audience. We do a lot of these, and just over the last, not even a year, I've probably had 3 or 4 folks that are not owners, or half a dozen folks that are not owners of restaurants, but that own businesses that serve restaurants. And I've just been trying to get to know people like you and other companies, and this is just a good forum to do it. And then it puts
Cool.
has your story out there for whatever audience we have too. So
Good to go. Let's do it.
All right, cool. All right, what's up, y'all? Will here at Schedulefly, and this is a unique and exciting opportunity today. We have another company that we've gotten to know, Kickfin. And Brian, introduce yourself.
It will. Thanks for having me. Brian Hassan, co-founder, co-CEO of Kickfin, and looking forward to having the conversation with you today.
Yeah, man. So we got, your head of sales, John, got in touch with Tyler, who works with us on LinkedIn a few weeks back. And Tyler sent that over to me, and we connected and had a great initial conversation. I love what y'all are doing. I love the simplicity of what you're doing. If it gotten to speak with Brian and Stephanie on your team, just fantastic folks to have working for you. We just had a good call with a mutual customer. But so just take it a step back, just give me like the 30-second elevator pitch about what Kickfin does.
It's interesting when I'm following you on LinkedIn and following your posts on how you built your business. It's all about simplicity. If you can solve a problem with a simple solution and communicate it in an articulate manner that everyone understands, it's a win-win-win all around. And so I think today's story and how Kickfin was built really kind of follows the path that you built Schedulefly with your co-founder. And so kind of the story was Justin and I, co-founders, best friends, roommates, best man at my wedding. It's kind of crazy. We've had over 3,000 lunches with one another. We live together, work together. So I guess we could tolerate each other, yin and yang, if you will. And so we actually met selling payroll at ADP, door to door. And interesting enough, I know that, Will, you sold your previous entity. You're actually provided the sales software that ADP used back when we were selling. Yep. So that's crazy coincidence. Met selling at ADP, left ADP, and we saw an opportunity to start an insurance technology firm. And so we did that. We bootstrapped it. We said, hey, listen, let's kind of build this off the sweat off of our own backs. And the interesting part about that is when you're carrying the bag and you're the Swiss Army knife of the business, it forces you to really fast track your learning in sales, operations, finance, and everything that you may or may not be comfortable with.
Yeah.
So we built that company, we scaled it, and we sold it in 2015 to private equity. So it was a nice win for us. We're in our early 30s, and we said, it was a terrific experience. You don't hear many times where founders come in and bootstrap a business and have that sort of an outcome. So we're pumped about it. But at the same time, sitting in San Francisco, early 30s, some gas is left in the tank here. It's like, I gotta do something else. No idea what the heck that is. But best ideas come over wine and beer and a good meal. So we're having wine at a restaurant in San Francisco. We saw this armored car pull up, and we were scratching our heads, and we were like, what is this armored car doing at a restaurant like this? Doesn't everybody use credit card? And the bartender told us, he goes, it's not to pick up cash. The armored car is to deliver cash. And we said, for what? And he said, to tip out our team. And I looked at him, and this is my ADP background. And I said, well, why don't you just put tips on payroll if you don't have enough cash? He goes, they put tips on payroll. I'm walking right across the street and getting paid. I'm at that restaurant. And so that was back in 2017 when the light bulb went off, and we said, I think we found a problem. Now let's see if we can come up with a solution here.
Love it. So, okay. So you guys, you've got people that are getting tipped in cash.
Yep.
Explain that process. Just talk through the process of how it typically is at the restaurant and what you would do to solve that.
So what's interesting is, let's talk about uncovering the problem. So, the typical San Francisco venture-backed startup builds solution, they look for problems. For us, we're all about field testing. Let's understand, let's not just see that there is a problem. Let's understand the problem. Let's see if it's repeatable and see if it is in different markets across different sizes. And so the question that we asked was, first, how are you tipping out your staff at the end of their shift? And a majority would say in cash. And we'd say, why? And they'd say, because there's growth in credit card transactions. And we say, how are you getting the cash? And they'd say, it's either getting delivered by armored car or GM is running to the bank to pick up cash. It's pretty common with a lot of independents. Said, all right, this is San Francisco. Let's go ahead and use our network. Let's talk to people in Texas and Minnesota and Florida and New York. Let's talk to larger chains. Let's talk to enterprise. And it was yes, 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 and yes, we do it in cash. We do it in cash. It's because it's the way it's always been done. It's the way we recruit and retain employees. We're fighting for talent with Lyft and Uber, so we can't even consider moving it to paychecks. And then when COVID hit, having access to those earnings immediately, because there's less shifts and less tables, became more and more important. So like, all right, so how do we solve this? And there were obviously like these pay cards around and people putting stuff on payroll, but nobody liked the pay cards because I think people, they had a bank account. They didn't want something on a gift card. And so at that time in 2017, Uber and Lyft were using instant pay. Like we were looking over our shoulder in San Francisco. It's like every like bus stop has a billboard for a tech company, but Lyft was going gangbusters with recruiting drivers with instant pay. And just seeing that, thinking about, well, what if we democratized instant pay for hospitality, made super simple for them to pay their employees and settle real time into their bank accounts 24/7, 365. So that was kind of the idea. And we said, all right, let's go back to everybody we interviewed that validated this was a problem when we shared the solution. What if we could do this? Would this be something that would help you? And they said, yes. And at that point, we said, I think we're going to have some product market fit here. And we built the product. It took us about a year or so, and we self-funded it because here's the funny thing, Will, VCs, they didn't understand how big of a problem this was. They never sat in the back office with an operator. They never sat with a general manager. They never actually cared to pick up the phone and call and ask these questions. And we did. And so we built the product, we brought it to market. And then funny enough, as a result, Loomis, the largest cash delivery company in the United States, said, the future is digitizing cash. We believe you guys are the market leaders, and they invested in our company back in 2020.
Loomis did.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's awesome. Did you call them and tell them what you were doing?
So here's the thing, like Loomis, of those in the cash and transit business, cash delivery business, they're certainly the most forward-thinking and progressive. They had this initiative internally to say, hey, we got to sell this thing called a smart safe. And a smart safe is this box that goes in the back office, you feed it cash, and it credits your bank account the next day. The hard part for them was they couldn't sell it into full service restaurants and bars because there wasn't a surplus of cash. They had to deliver cash. So there's no need for this box. And they wanted to deploy this box because it had larger margins, larger contract values when delivering cash was a race to zero. So we chatted with their BD team and their strategy team, and we said, well, what if you led with Kickfin, you digitize cash payouts? You're going to lose the CIT cash delivery business, but it's going to enable you to sell these boxes. And then they immediately got it. They said, guys, okay, this is a 1 + 1 = 5 here. And that's kind of where the investment came from and why it came from Loomis in that regard.
So you guys got this going in 2017?
Yeah, we started the process from like field testing. That took about a year. Then we built the MVP, and we brought this to market fall of 2019.
How did you bring it to market? Like, was it just you two?
Just us two. Well, I tell you what, you come across a lot of founders that they say, let's raise some capital, let's build out this sales force, let's go ahead and sell the product, and let's see what happens. We self-funded this business because we believed in how such a simple product can deliver such high impact and value to customers. Not just in that, we sold it. Literally going back to our ADP roots back in 2006, door to door, call to call, email to email, learning a ton from the rejections and getting the win here or there. And those wins and those customers allowed us to learn. They then referred other customers. And so the go-to-market back in 2019 was just, he and I calling and emailing customers, selling, servicing, supporting, marketing, doing it all.
So, and then, okay. So, and you've got what's the average number of locations that your customers have?
I think it's interesting. So we serve enterprises, like Walk-Ons and, Beef O'Brady's and Hilton and others. But if you look at like our average customer is in that 1 to 10 range. We do a ton in the independent space. And the reason being is if you put your mind, it's like you have the enterprise operator and the independent operator. Sometimes the enterprise operator, you were talking aircraft carrier, and the independent sort of like a speedboat. The aircraft carrier sometimes overthinks, asks for more than what they really need to solve a problem. The independent, on the other hand, it's like, listen, I know my problem. If there's a quick way to solve it, in a simple way to solve it, I am all in. And so we found that like we sell, and it's funny because it's very similar to a story that you posted on LinkedIn the other day with CPK. So you guys posted this when you guys CrossFit CPK, you met CPK, and the gentleman said, well, this is too simple, because he was so conditioned to buy complicated products, and you and your co-founder said this is not the right fit for us, and you
Wes
them.
know that. Yeah. I was like, sales guy, I'm like, oh, we're gonna get them. He's like, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, that guy is, there's just no way. He's used to complicated products. In fact, all CTOs with all chains are going to be like, we may as well forget chains. Let's just focus on independence. I remember thinking like, whoa, damn, that's a whole different ballgame. That's going to be really challenging. But thank God he realized that. And it was totally right. I mean, it was very clear having some additional conversations. So you're right. I mean, good for y'all that you've gotten some places like Walk-Ons and others to do that. The independents, simple solution, simple price model, just good service, just sign me up and let's do this.
I mean, Will, just like you guys, I mean, I think like, I follow you guys a ton because like your mission, your values, your vision really resonate, and how you guys haven't raised prices since you started the business, right? And we say, hey, we follow in the same footsteps. I mean, at the end of the day, labor costs go up, food costs go up, rent goes up. And it'd be a disservice to customers to increase the price of your software, something that they depend on to schedule shifts. And so I admire that a ton. And, we haven't been in the market as long as you guys, but certainly that story that you guys have certainly resonates with us.
Yeah, it's, I hadn't really honestly thought that much about it until the last year or so when I just noticed everything going up. And I was actually out a couple months ago. I was in Colorado with a customer, and he's like, everything's going up. Labor's up, food costs are up, rent's up, this is up, that's up. And I was like, you know what's not up? He's like, no, what? And I was like, Schedulefly. And he's like, what? You haven't raised? I'm like, no, dude. He's like, that's your freaking sales pitch right now. From now on, like, you're the only company that, but it's true. It's if you can get away with it, I mean, we're fortunate that we haven't had to, and I'm thankful for that. And I hope we don't have to, but everything else is going up for operators. Now, you guys, so you got this simple solution. You guys go out and start selling this door to door. You learn, you iterate, you figure out, okay, these are holes we need to fill. I mean, we went through all this stuff, and you start plugging in these holes, and then you started. So did you start hiring? Like, how many people do you have in the company today?
So we're at around 30 right now.
30. Okay. You got more than that. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So I would say we're on the engineering. The engineering team is we got on the engineering side, 12 of the 30 are in-house engineers.
Okay.
So the sales team, we've got VP sales, and then 8 account execs underneath. And Justin and I still do founder-led, enterprise sales. And because probably like you guys, it's kind of hard to get away from, pitching the product. We love it so much. I
never will.
And then, it's just like when you believe in something and you're passionate about it and the brand and like what you're delivering to customers. And at the end of the day too, the great part about like selling the hospitality is I think about myself. We go out to dinner every Saturday night. We go to a new restaurant here. I live in Austin. Some we repeat. And see how hard these people work. A lot of people just don't know or don't recognize the amount of time, effort, and it's challenging. And knowing what they give you, which is this amazing experience that you talk about and you share with your friends, it's just an incredible opportunity to build a product that you can sell to the employers to benefit the employees, because you know what they're giving you. And if you can kind of give something to them that'll make their life easier, whether it's like, I know how to swap shifts better, I know how to communicate with my manager easier, or I know on our side, I can get paid instantly and have to run to the bank to deposit cash, things like that. And you're helping them out. mean, that's a huge win because they're giving a ton back to you with each and every dining experience or each and every beer they pour you.
Okay, so like if right now my daughter's she's working as a hostess, and I think it's like a couple nights ago. It's a second. She's only been for like a month, but I think like every 2 weeks, they do tip outs or whatever, and she comes home with like $30 in cash or $40 in cash or whatever. And she doesn't like cash, so she gives it to me, and then I just transfer money into her account. But what for where she works, what you would solve is instead of her getting that money every 2 weeks, a pile of cash, you're able to get it every day or however often the restaurant wants to do it, right to their bank account.
That's true. Although, Will, I think in this case, I'll be solving your problem, right? Because you're kind of her bank, right? But yeah, in a nutshell,
I'm
exactly
carrying
that.
around like I've got like 80 $1 bills, in my I'm gonna have to go to the bank. So I'm doing it for you. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so if a lot of people, they don't have a will that they could just give cash to.
No.
So they just leave their shift and they get a text message. They've been paid, money's right in their bank account. It's 24/7, 365 in real time. Whether it's Christmas Day, it's 3 a.m. So think about this, like you're working a bar, you leave at 2, 3 a.m. You've got about $150 in cash in your pocket, or 40 or 300. It's like just feels unsafe. It doesn't feel secure. Or, one of our account executives he's a bartender at Applebee's. And he'd say, yeah, I'd shoebox a few $100. And then when I get a chance, I go to the bank to make the deposit. So yeah, we're solving that challenge for the employees. And interestingly enough, as employees go to new restaurants and they're being paid in cash, they say, well, why don't you Kickfin me? So having that all done digitally, it's just the modern.
That's become, okay. So you do have employees that are going and doing that. That's what benefited us so much, Brian, is like, we just had, particularly back in 2007 and for a long time, people were just turning over. Restaurants were overstaffed and people were turning over all the time and leaving one place and going to the next. And it was just constant. And they'd go somewhere where they were on Excel or pencil and paper, like, why don't just use Schedulefly. So when you've got a product that benefits the employee directly, that's huge, man. I never thought that would be as powerful as it is. But it actually, employee turnover helps us. It helps you when somebody leaves somewhere or they get a second job or whatever it is. They become your de facto sales force.
It's cool too. Like, so, I drive down South Lamar, which is the main thoroughfare here. And Southside Flying Pizza has a billboard and it says, drive for Southside Flying Pizza, get paid daily with Kickfin. They actually have it on their billboard. They use it to recruit, sort of pretty big presence here. So it's just cool to see restaurants using us as a recruitment tool. But going back to your daughter's story, like certainly like solving her challenge or your challenge indirectly, right? But think about like that, the restaurant she works at, more than likely they're 90+% credit card. So that manager is probably running to the bank to pick up cash. And the stat, payments.com had the stat of all transactions in restaurant and retail, 14% of transactions are still done in cash. Now, let's think about the average tip rate. Average tip rate is definitely not 14%, it's higher. So where do you cover that difference? Have to run to the bank to pick up the difference or have cash delivery. But with most independents, they're running to the bank. So like almost 100% of the time, unless they're putting tips on payroll, which is a huge disadvantage from a recruitment tool standpoint, they're doing bank runs 2-3 days a week.
So, okay, this is an interesting piece. Help me out with this. So
yeah.
All right. That's freaking badass that you got somebody with a billboard. It's like, well done. We need to find somebody to put. God, it's been so long. I feel like we always do things too early before anybody like knows what's going on. And then like we yank it before, like we had a blog when nobody read it and now people read and we don't have a blog anymore. But we used to have these little like banner icons you could put on your website and it had like Schedulefly and it'd say like, our staff loves us because we use schedule, whatever it was, they could put it like embedded on their website. Having on a billboard, now that's freaking cool. I like that. But but seriously, if you've got, so Bella is getting this cash and then she gives it to me and whatever. I'm going to get into a sticky thing here, but I just thought of this, like, how about like, what about taxes? Like,
Yeah, it's a great question.
like, I mean, I'm not tracking that. I
Mhm.
probably should be. I don't know. Is she going to pay taxes? But I guess that's up to the individual, but like, how do you account for that?
So restaurants do it differently. So what happens is now 90 plus transactions are credit card. That's recorded in point of sale. So the state labor departments, IRS, they know essentially what the tips in are. So what a lot of restaurants today are getting this is, if you were, we were rewind this like 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I still, my mother was a waitress, my dad was a manager, and I remember my mom coming home with like the stacks of dollar bills and what have you. None of that was tracked. But people were paying in cash. There's no bank runs being done. Kickfin would not even be a valuable solution at that point in time. But now the transactions are in point of sale, tips in and recorded. And so restaurateurs are becoming more and more concerned with being compliant and having them report. In fact, the IRS had released something as of recent where, because point of sale has enabled tipping, the IRS wants money. They're going to start investing time and resources into enforcing taxes on tips. Now, is that happening tomorrow? Probably not. But when there's money and there's taxes to be received, and we're looking at the trends in POS, it's going to happen. So we see restaurants will say, hey, listen, we're gonna have you report everything that's being paid out, cash, payroll, what have you, or you're going to self-report what you've declared, and we're going to pay you out, via Kickfin, via cash, what have you. With our solution, we're a payments processor. We're not a payroll company. And so what that means is the employer instructs Kickfin what is due to the employee and remits that. Just like the employer's handing cash, they're handing, like, think of digital cash to that particular employee. And then they key into payroll what's been paid out. If they're using Kickfin, it syncs with payroll. And then the taxes are calculated and paid out accordingly. And so I would say, like, gone are the days, and you hear on these Reddit threads of like, well, if things are done digitally, then there's going to be a record and I'm going to be taxed. And guys, like, it's 95% credit card transactions today, tips in, it's already being tracked today.
It's everything's being tracked. So this is just, okay, but the tips out is, and what you're solving for is you're eliminating the need for somebody to say, hey, well, it's like, I guess what she is, like every 2 weeks, she gets, whenever they tip out or whatever, she gets her portion of the cash, whatever, but you're allowing that to go in same day, right into there. How does it get in their account? Like, how does it go? Because ACH is like a whatever, overnight or 2-day, like how does the money go straight into their account?
Yeah, so we use multiple processors and multiple payment networks. And what we do is based on, we're actually using the employee's own bank issued debit card.
Yeah.
And if they don't have a bank account, we can use any off the rack registered prepaid card. Or if they have a payroll card, we can load that. So we're looking for that 16-digit number. And based on, not a credit card, not a credit, a debit card.
All right, gotcha.
So we do is we issue a credit to that debit card, which posts in real time as a deposit in their bank account. So like today, for example, like if somebody's ever sent you money on PayPal or Venmo and they say, do you want it for free in 5 to 7 days? They'll ACH it. If you want it right away, this is on your iPhone today. It's going to request that you key in your debit card. So based on the card number entered, we intelligently route the transaction to settle at that specific bank in real time. And that's how it's done. And the onboarding is super simple. I'll tell you what, you talk to these hospitality operators and they say, I got most of my people on paper paycheck because people don't want to, they don't know their routing number and their account number. I mean, shoot, I don't even know what mine is. But with Kickfin, when they're being onboarded, they pull their wallet out, they pull their card out, they're onboarded. So the onboarding is simple. The employee keeps their banking relationship. There's no third-party issued cards at all, and they get it in real time.
What is okay, I like this a ton, man. It's so simple. God. Okay. I want to ask you about your competition, but I'll tell you that you've probably seen this. I was out at like honestly, like a week or two ago, I was out in Denver at this Eat Denver event, and
Okay.
this dude he's a CFO of a place called Snooze AM
Yeah.
Eatery.
Uh-huh.
I don't know them, but I guess they're big out. I thought you were in San Francisco, so you're in Austin.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
in Austin. We do have a snooze, which we frequent a ton.
Okay.
So definitely familiar. Yeah.
All right. So the guy who's a CFO, he gets up and he's at this thing. It's called Ed Talks. It's like Eat Denver's version of TED Talks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he shows this graphic. He shows a slide. It's like a hub and spoke thing. And it's like in the middle, the hub is the restaurant, and all the spokes are the different types of technology, whether it's online ordering or scheduling or point of sale, or what y'all do, like all these different spokes. And in those spokes, there's like all the different brands of companies that provide that service. And he said there's 219 logos on this slide. There's easily 250 restaurant technology companies. Some of them are not, but like we weren't even on the slide. I was like, dude, we've been around for 16 years. We didn't even make the slide. But it doesn't matter. Like the bigger point was like, there's 250 or more restaurant technology companies in existence today and growing. Like, it hit me right then. I'm like, you know what? Our competition, like I've always said, like our competition, we don't like, we kind of have a little niche. Like we're like, you grow into Schedulefly and you maybe know us. Like there's a lot of companies that have like integrations and all the other stuff, but our competition is not that as much as it's like, it's even y'all in the sense that it's like, we're competing for the time. I mean, these restaurant owners and managers only have so much time and they have so many things pulling at them. Outside of restaurant technology, there's already a million things pulling at them every day. Then you add in 250 potential, salespeople that might call on them on any given day trying to sell their technology. Like, how in the hell do you compete, with all that noise? And how do you like raise the signal that like, hey, I've got this simple solution. And then like when you get them to get to the point where they're like, okay, we need to solve for scheduling, like, okay, well, there's 30 scheduling companies now. How do I figure out which one? Do you guys have a lot of competitors that are doing what you do? Because I haven't come across, and maybe there are, I don't know, but it seems like you have a unique solution.
So I'm going to tell you, I wasn't at that food festival. I'm going to have to check it out next time, but I just can guarantee we were not on that either. And the reason we were likely not on that is we're creating a new category here.
Yeah, there's a spoke. They're in the spoke in that wheel for what y'all. Okay, that's great.
Yeah. So we're creating new categories. So when we look at like competitors in the space, are, our biggest competitor, honestly, it's a brick of cash and like six pieces of steel, which is a safe. That's our competition. In other cases, we come across like pay cards. Like, hey, we're going to give you this card. We'll put digital tips on this third-party issued card, but there's not a ton of. You see adoption by like Darden and bigger like massive enterprise brands because they were early adopters of digitizing tips, and the only solution was like a third-party issued debit card. If you look at the modern workforce and you think like Venmo, Square, Cash App, and PayPal, people want it in their own bank account now, and Zelle, they're aware of these solutions that can deliver it. They don't want to be forced into a card. And so we see these third-party issued pay cards, typically in like with legacy entities like Darden. We do see some new entrants that are saying, hey, if you Google digital tips, like first question you should ask is, are you going to have to make my employees like put it on a card? And here's why these cards are the solution these software companies bring to market. They're stupid simple to set up. You literally can build a card program in like 2 weeks. Now, simplicity. Now, number two is they monetize it through all these hidden fees. Oh, you can only go to this ATM. And if you don't, it's $3.50. Oh, you can only transfer money off this card twice a month. And if you don't, it's a few bucks. Oh, you can. It's like, my God, you're putting a lion's share of my earnings. If you think of a tipped employee, 70% of their earnings are tips. You're putting 70% of my earnings on a gift card and not on my Bank of America account. So you'll see now some of these newer entrants in market saying, we'll do digital tips, but you got to have it on this card. Now, that's kind of like competition in the digital space. Now, Kickfin, We said that nobody, if you took some time to actually talk to an employee, if you took some time to talk to an operator, the operator doesn't want to manage a card program and the employee doesn't want another bank. It's not even a banking relationship. It's like a gift card. What they want is money streamed in real time to their own bank account, where they pay their bills, where things are auto debited. And so when we look at competition, Bricket Cash Analog Safe is the vast majority. Visa had commented on their earnings call, Q3 earnings call last year, it's 90% of hospitality outlets are still doing it in cash, followed by Legacy and some newer entrants with card solutions. And then there's Kickfin. There probably will be some other companies out there in the space streaming in real time to employee bank accounts as like an add-on service, but this is our core product. This is the product that we're experts in from a compliance standpoint. We pay hundreds of thousands of employees every single month this way, so we have the experience, and we work with brands all the way from independents to like large enterprises. So in terms of like the scope of customers we deal with, it's quite broad. But yeah, to answer your question, Bricket Cash and Analog Safe, that's probably why it's a new category. It's probably why there's no spoke on there, because the safe really isn't technology.
You're adding another spoke, man. Darn it. There's one more spoke. Well, but it does get to the point though that, okay, so it's good to be the only one in that spoke, but it's still a challenge. Like it's really fascinating to me. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. How do you get, you have a sales force, I know, but you know, what is the best way to get the attention of folks? Because, you know, I mean, what a lot of them are doing is they're saying like, I can't do, like what the guy said, this news guy, he goes on, and I went up to him afterwards. I was like, dude, I can't even imagine being in your shoes. Like I'd never thought about it this way, about how much noise there is. He goes, Will, I'll go back to my office right now, and there's gonna be 40 sales emails in my inbox. Like, he's like, it's just, so what do y'all do to get people's attention?
Yeah, so there a ton. So we look at our marketing team, we drive a ton inbound. So we obviously do paid ads in a limited capacity, but we do a ton on the organic side. And so what that means is Kickfin, we have and will continue to be a thought leader in the space. So when you're searching for anything related to tip laws by municipality, by state, if you're searching for anything that has to do with digital tip outs, or you just want to read some really great interviews with some hospitality leaders, we want to be the source of truth for that. So a ton of inbound comes through thought leadership on the subject matter. We do a ton with events, like for example, last year at FS Tech, and we'll be doing it again here at this upcoming FS Tech. We did a panel on digital tipping where we bring in thought leaders. It's not a Kickfin sales pitch. It's literally interviewing. Like last year, we had Beef O'Brady's Brass Tap, Walk-Ons, and Rock and Roll Sushi on a panel, just talking about how they looked at digital tipping. So a ton of that. Like, and on the outreach, it's just creating cadences, whether they be through LinkedIn, email, phone touches, but not generic. At the end of the day, of those 40 emails, I guarantee all 40 are like mail merge generic emails, where they didn't take the opportunity to get to know snooze. They haven't dined there. They don't know about the employees. And I think it's important to just take a lot of sales organizations measure like your outreach. Oh, you got your 1,000 emails out today. Congratulations. I prefer 100 emails out that had a touch of personalization, because the open rates are significantly higher.
Yep.
Challenge is here is a lot of these very largely capitalized, venture capitalized companies that have raised like 50, 100, 150, they have such lofty and unrealistic revenue goals that it's really spray and pray. Let's throw as many bodies at this as possible, setting out the same generic message, and let's see if it resonates. It might work in different segments, but in the hospitality segment, it's not going to work that way. It's not a numbers game. It's a quality game. Understand your ICP, go after that ICP, your ideal customer persona, and spend some time getting to know the brand before you reach out. You'll have a lot more sane workforce in that case. And so that's how we've gone to market and continue to go to market, is a ton on like thought leadership and a ton on like really personalized outreach by our sales team.
And how large is your sales team? 10?
We've got 9.
9. Okay. So they're doing, John runs that team.
John runs the team. Yep.
John's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good. Hey, we're lucky.
We talked about that before we were like officially recording, but I'll bring it back up. I think he's fantastic. Really impressed with him.
He's a great guy. Actually, I want to give him a little shout out. They had the American Business Awards, and he won the bronze for best sales training program in the United States 2023.
Really?
So yeah, so the guy is an outstanding leader, an outstanding coach, and I think it's important. I mean, you know this with your team. It's the best. I think the best leaders know what can listen, know what their gaps are, know where there are learning opportunities, and you surround yourself by individuals that are way better than you are, whether it be at sales, marketing, ops, what have you. And every day that we have an opportunity to chat with him or chat with our ops team, marketing team, is an opportunity to learn, to grow. And so we've been lucky to have him. The teams learned a ton, and the leadership teams learned a ton from him as well. And so we're just getting started. I think he's been with us since I think July, August of last year. So big things to come. He's actually at the restaurant and bar show right now in Vegas.
Yeah, he's out. Is Stephanie out there as well, or was she?
She's back in Florida right now. There is an account exec with them. One of our guys from California is going to be out there with them at the show.
So what does that mean, account exec? So how much of your business is inbound and how much is it through proactive outbound?
It's a bit split right down the middle. Account execs are our sales team, so they're going full cycle. So anything from like the initial prospecting of the customer all the way to like closing the opportunity. And then here's the real difference maker. They actually work with our customer success team in facilitating a seamless implementation. So unlike a lot of software companies that say, boom, sold, hand out the support, you figure it out. This is like the stat that I'm most proud of is our churn. We have like our trailing 12-month churn is less than 5%. And so why that's the case, our customer success team kicks serious ass, but at the same time, there's a great coordination and relationship between sales and ops and implementation. Okay. And so when that customer is sold a product, they're handheld until the product is live. So they have that experience with Kickfin. And that certainly, I think, can attribute to why there's been such a low churn rate. I mean, sure, we're solving a massive problem, but the customer experience component, I mean, you know this, right? This is why you retain a ton of your customers you're delivering a simple product to them, but they're having such an awesome experience working with you. And they also know if they have any problems, they know they can go to you and your team and it's going to be wrapped up and solved in a personalized manner. And so a lot of what you guys do, we like to emulate as well from a support standpoint.
Yeah, the support piece is huge. I've always been flabbergasted when people that serve restaurants don't have great support. It's like you're serving the hospitality industry. Like that's what they do. They like go above and beyond to give you a great experience when you interact with their brand, and why you wouldn't. That's just the most obvious thing. I mean, it's the obvious way you run any business, but particularly if you serve hospitality, and I hear about companies that have crappy support, I'm like, oh my God, it's just the layup. It's the easiest thing you could ever, do. But great. I mean, it's great for folks like y'all and us. The bar is really, really low. So you don't even, we would go way above the bar anyway, but so low that if you just do the normal stuff, like you respond to an email quickly or you pick up the phone, they're like blown away, which is fascinating. And yes, independent operators, that's another, good thing for y'all. If you have a lot of independent operators, is that they value who they do business with. They do this a lot more. I've seen the last 5 or 6 years. It used to be just like, who are their food purveyors or whatever. And really looking at like, because there are so many options and there's so many tech companies out there, like who you are and how you operate and your ethos and your philosophy and what your business is all about matters to them, even if they give up, whatever bells and whistles or something that, maybe somebody else has. It's important to them, and they pay attention to that now. So that's, that's a good thing.
Yep.
If you do it that way. Do you got, okay, so, I mean, what prevents you from making sales? Like, what are the things where you go, we had this opportunity and it seemed like an obvious one and we didn't, didn't get the business. I mean, we have that all the time. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think with operators, they got a million things on their plate. Biggest concerns right now, it's labor and it's food costs.
Yeah.
And so it's how can we, and they're triaging the different challenges or issues that they need to solve for, the fires that they need to put out. So I think like what prevents is timing. Mostly it's how much time, how important is this to me? And do I have the time to deal with it right now? So our job is to educate them on, hey, we can have a direct impact on labor and we can give you more time because you're not having to run to the bank to pick up cash and count and sort cash. Some operators, they get it. Some, they get it, but they triage it down. So I would say we have a fairly high conversion rate on our calls, but it has to do with, are we at the right place at the right time with these individuals? And did we do a good enough job educating them on how we can alleviate some of their top concerns? And if we haven't, that's a learning opportunity for our sales team and an opportunity for John to coach the sales team. And also, let's look at how we can revisit this at a later time. I'd say timing and bandwidth of the decision maker is likely like the biggest reason why it's not a no-go after the initial call.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And there, there's there's hundreds of thousands of restaurants out there. So you're looking for the low hanging fruit, particularly when you're basically developing a new spoke for the wheel. There's tons of opportunities. So you guys, have a good opportunity with folks that maybe, it's not the right time now. And we've seen that. I can't tell you how many people have come in, they sign up we have like the 30-day free trial.
Yep.
Sign up and they don't become a customer. And they sign up again a year later and they don't become a customer. Fourth try, 5 years in, like you can see it. And then they're like, oh, well, now they're using, like, what changed is that they knew they had an issue 5 years ago and 4 years ago and 3 years ago or whatever. But the reality is it was, one of the 10 things they needed to solve for, and they thought it was high on the list, but when it came down to it, something else took precedence. And, so if you play the long game and you do things right and you take care of your customers and you keep your product simple, then if they don't sign up today, then maybe it's next year. If not, it may be the year after that or whatever. And then you just move on to the next one. And the challenge becomes just finding, that low hanging fruit where there's somebody that's like banging their head against the wall right now going, I'm so freaking tired of bank trips, bank runs, and boom. And then you come along and it's like, skies open up. Amen. Sign me up. I mean, you have a whole pricing model. You have you have like a monthly, was it like a monthly fee that the restaurant pays? And there's like a little small like transaction fee each. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. And I'll tell you what, also at the end of the day, you're not going to win you want to win every, this with your background, you want to win and convert every single conversation you have. And you can communicate the greatest value prop. You can understand the biggest pain points and you can just bat 1,000 A+ effort and you still can't convert it. And that's fine. And it happens. But at the end of the day, there's one thing that you have control over. It's activity and conversations. That's the one thing. And at the end of the day, if you more activity, you have more conversations, some will instantly convert, some will fall off, and some are just waiting for the right time. Yeah. So it's just like filling the top of the pipeline with opportunities that are just willing to hear you out. And I think if there's a compelling enough reason why to take a call, I'm doing my scheduling in Excel still. Literally, I'm like, my scheduling is done with a piece of paper and a pencil and a pen. Here's an easy way to get set up. I mean, just a compelling enough reason and you hit the right person and just have them listen to you, fill the pipeline, more activity, more conversations, more wins. It's like, it's just, I mean, it hasn't changed since I was selling payroll in the mid 2000s. This probably hasn't changed since you were selling product. I think I will also say, I think the difference is not to be like I walk uphill in the snow with bare feet kind of talk right here, but when I sold ADP, it's like we had a little bit of tech and we had a binder and we had to go door to door. And I think now if you look at the modern sales force here, I think they've become so dependent upon like automated outreach, and they're afraid to pick up the phone. They're afraid to make that call. They're hiding behind the screen.
Yeah.
However, if you kind of think about like, okay, everybody is doing outreach the same way. Well, think about it. Well, what if I just kind of like, we have this chart here. What if we go back? What if we start thinking about approaching them in a personalized manner, like we did kind of rewind? Now we'll be in the minority. Now we'll be able to differentiate a little bit. And so when we start talking about like connecting more conversations, more activity, like my advice to any sales team is stop being so like handicapped with all these sales tools that you have on your computer and think about what used to be the traditional means of outreach and start employing that and start testing that and actually start picking up the phone, start having conversations with individuals, not about your product, just about the industry as a whole, and stuff will come into you. But if you're nonstop just pressing click, click, click on email sequences and waiting for deals, that's a losing proposition. And especially as you know, the hospitality industry, what do? They deliver personalized services and experience to delight you, the guest, each and every day. What does the manager tell their employees? Deliver a personalized hospitality experience that delights your customers. If they're telling their team to do that, why wouldn't you sell to them the same way, right? Sometimes it's easier said than done. But my advice to like a sales force, as far as it goes to like go-to-market outreach for this particular segment, is take that personalized approach and don't make it feel cold and automated, like the 40 emails the CFO of Snooze is getting in his inbox probably today already.
Yeah, man, you freaking nailed it, dude. I could not agree more. It's like, just how would you like to be sold to? Like, if you were on the other side of that, like, in what are you going to respond to? Like, are you going to respond to one of these 50 canned generic emails with no, or are you going to respond to the person that's like, hey, I read your story about your restaurant and your brand, and like, it's really freaking cool. Like, I'd love to learn more about it. Maybe tell you a little bit about what's going on with our company. Like, you're going to increase your chances like 1,000,000 times. When John and Stephanie got on that call just now with our customer, I mean, he spent 15 minutes asking questions about his business, Chad's business and his backstory and how he got into the industry. And, when you like, you're interesting if you're interested, right? Like, that's a huge differentiator. And it doesn't take a ton of extra time and thought. It just takes like, just treat somebody the way you'd want to be treated, and, talk to them the way you'd want to be talked to, and just do something. Is everybody else doing what you're doing right now to sell their product? All those 250 other companies. Well, then you probably need to find a little bit different way, because you really are. You're flat out competing with 250 other tech companies, and everyone is like trying to get in the door and get that person's attention. And so if they've got the Snooze guy's got 40 people that want to get his attention that day, he's going to maybe pick one. And how is he going to make that choice? It's not going to be random. It's going to be because that one did something unique and different and meaningful and personalized. So, I mean,
I'm with you, because you get these people. I mean, I get pitched to get you on the phone. There's no structure. It's a straight feature dump. The feature dump of the product. And I'm like, I can care less. But if you take the time, and here's the individuals that sell the hospitality have to understand, it's like, you're not selling. If you want to sell a widget, you can sell cloud computing, you can sell hospitality tech, you can sell copiers. It doesn't freaking matter. Like, if you're selling the hospitality, to be successful, you have to be genuinely interested in hospitality. And I tell you what, when you had the first 5-10 minutes of a successful hospitality operator's ear, and we're going to learn a little bit about their background and why they got into the business and where they're looking to go, that shouldn't be looked at as, oh, here's an opportunity to build some rapport. That's so artificial. It should be, you have genuine interest, and they can tell. And it's like when you go sit down at a restaurant, you want to learn why did you pick the restaurant? Why are you there? or you hear the waitress or the waiter or the bartender share the story about the restaurant. Like, that's pretty damn cool. You have an opportunity to do that with an operator in the first 5-10 minutes. So I just think selling into hospitality is so damn cool, because they just deliver so much back to us, and if we have an opportunity to hear their story and help them out, pretty amazing opportunity.
Well, I've really come to respect people that do this so much, way more than like when we first got into this. I bust tables one summer, and when I was like 15, and made salsa one summer and did some stuff, but I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when we started, our background, my background was B2B sales, like 6-figure contract, and, with big corporations as our customers. And so that's why, like, we got on that plane and went out to see the CTO out there at California Pizza Kitchen. And that's what we thought I was going to be doing. It's like getting on planes and flying around and moving big deals. And we realized, I was like, what do we do now? And through creating content, books, podcasts, films, and all that, I mean, it's just, I started talking to all these owners, like sharing their stories. And it's just very quickly, I realized, like, holy crap, this is hard as shit to do this. Like,
Yeah.
what they have to think about every day, and the things they have to get right, and the number of decisions they have to make on a daily basis. It's like overwhelming to me. And I felt like I could never do that. I'm like, I couldn't do this. So it just makes me super, just interested in learning from folks that do it well. And over the years, talking to all these folks, and I realize how much of this is a labor of love, how much passion goes into it. I mean, you're not starting a burger and beer restaurant. I mean, some small percent will do this, but you're not starting it to scale it up and have some massive private equity exit. Like, you're starting it because you want to do something cool in your community, and you have, you like bringing people into your business and taking care of them and smile. And that's what, just yesterday, I was talking to an owner about that. I'm like, how do you deal with all this stuff? And he's like, well, I can deal with it because of all the smiles, like all the people come in that are happy, and it just balances all that out and then some. But the point being that, like, and I can tell that you share this very much, is that I've come to learn that restaurants, man, they're like the lifeblood of any great. I mean, you're in Austin. Like, why is Austin great? You start asking me, like, why is Austin cool? And I mean, cool, independent, small businesses becomes very top of list. And it always gets down to, like, man, there's these awesome restaurants and little music venues and all this kind of stuff. But, like, that's the lifeblood of any great community. I mean, God bless, chains are great and they have their place, but, like, a cool town is not a cool town because Applebee's is there. It's cool because, there's all these, like, badass little unique independent places, restaurants and stuff. And so you're right. It's an honor to serve, and what they do is just fascinating. And they're neat, freaking incredible people with, like, great stories. And then you start realizing, like, you hear all this talk about diversity in the workplace and all this stuff. It's not forced in a restaurant. It doesn't have to, it is just there because it is the most meritocratic industry, period, end of story. I don't care where you're from, what school you went to, what color your skin is, how you identify, doesn't matter. Like, if you're going to show up here and work hard and take good care of our customers and be a good teammate, let's go, bring it on. And you have, you can take that as far as you want. And it can just be, I want to be a server the rest of my life, or it's, I want to go from busser to, host to server, bartender, manager, GM, own my place one day and then grow that to, but, like, go for it. You can do that. No doubt about it. If you're willing to just do what it takes. I love it. Anyway, sorry. I get so fired up because I just think it's a cool industry. I can tell you do too, man.
Agree. Love it. Well, man, Will, really appreciate the conversation today, getting to know you and been following you guys super closely over the past, like, month or two. And so a lot of the stories, I think, ahead of our conversation here off podcast, I was kind of sharing with you is there's a ton of similarities in how you both founded Schedulefly and how Justin and I have founded Kickfin. And so I'm definitely looking forward to keeping our conversations going, seeing you guys around, and just genuinely appreciate you kind of hearing our story out above all.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I want to respect your time. It looks like we're like an hour into this thing. I'd go all day. We do have a call with Hooters down in Florida on Friday.
Yep.
And looking forward to that. They're a long time, like really good customer, total, like a great example of like, I'm sure they've been approached by every competitor we have. They have every reason to call us one day and be like, sorry, we've outgrown you or whatever. But man, they just like keeping things simple, and they've been a customer for freaking, like since early days, like 08, 09. So
That's amazing.
Candidate for y'all. You'll love it. I mean,
Love to talk to them.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I appreciate it. I'm going to get off at some point, hopefully this summer. And, but I won't do it unless I know you're going to be there, because I want to meet you when I come.
I will 100% be there. Hands full of ice cold beers, live music in the background, and a plate of barbecue right in front of you. So we'll count on that. 100% guarantee we'll make it happen. Let me know. And it's on.
Thanks, Brian, man. I appreciate it, my friend. Good meeting you.
For sure. You too.
All right. See ya.
All right. See ya.